Hi everyone, it's Pamela Ferguson. Today I am talking about one of my favorite books, and that is called, and I think it's going to be backwards because it's live, it's called GoPro by Eric Worre, and it is amazing. If you are driven in your career at all, I would definitely recommend that you go out and get this book. So one of the things that I want to talk about was kind of the different jobs that are out there and what categories they fall into, and how they're better for you or worse for you, I guess, as the case may be. So the way he does it is he separates it out as all the jobs that we have into 5 categories. Blue collar, white collar, sales, traditional business ownership, and investing. So just let's talk briefly about those. Most of you, I think, probably know what they are, but let's talk kind of just in case you don't. So the blue collar is essentially, usually people refer to that as performing manual labor. Those kinds of jobs, you're working for somebody else in the manual labor kind of jobs. White collar is usually, really nowadays, that is probably one of the biggest industries, I guess. I don't know the statistics. I would say that was probably the biggest industry. White collar careers where you work in more of an office setting, and again, you still work for somebody else. Sales would be where you work for a company. Maybe you are an inside sales rep or an outside sales rep. Maybe you're a pharmaceutical sales rep. Maybe you sell cellular phones at a Verizon store. These are all just examples of sales. And then traditional business ownership. So I'm talking about you literally own your own business and do your own thing. So it could be a franchise. It could be, I don't know, originally Coca-Cola starting their own business, meaning like you create your own product and start a business, or you own a hair salon. These traditional style businesses. And the last one is investing. And investing obviously just means playing in the stock market and doing things like that. So I kind of wanted to talk about each of those categories and say, really what you are looking for in your life and see if it meets that goal. The great thing is that Eric Worre, again from this book, had asked people, hey, why don't you describe your favorite job? Or no, not your favorite job. Describe like the perfect job, the perfect career list. And at first people started saying, oh, these are some of the things they said. And usually it was the things that they didn't want, right? No boss, no commute, no alarm clock, no employees, no politics. Good one right now. No compromises, no discrimination, no education requirement. That was really the things they didn't want. And then they started talking about the things that they did. So something positive, a great product or a service, unlimited income, residual income, enjoy the people that you work with. That's a good one. Time freedom, you're doing something meaningful in your life, personal growth, lots of perks, maybe international, meaning you can deal with other countries or, people, or even to get to travel. Contributions to worthy causes, low risk, low startup costs, economy proof, tax benefits, and the last one is fun. So I just gave you that list on the things that you really want, or you would determine your perfect career list. So really I wanted to talk about each of these careers that we'd mentioned, the blue collar, white collar, sales, traditional business ownership, and investing, and do they fit? Do they meet these? Do they get you to what you want? If these are the things you want, are you doing the career that will get you there? So let's talk about the first one, blue collar work. Can it deliver on this perfect career list? Well, the obvious answer is no. Could be a great product and a low startup cost for some people, but you just can't get some of those other attributes. And of course, you may not be able to get all of them in any job, but you want to try to check more of those boxes than not. And keep in mind, am I saying that a blue collar job is not a good job? Obviously not. We need every job. I'm just saying you have to figure out what you want in a job and try to choose an avenue that will get you there. If we have all people who are in sales, for example, or a white collar, society doesn't run that way. So we need everyone everywhere. So it definitely can deliver some of the attributes of the perfect career, but not all of them. So let's talk about white collar careers. And that's kind of where I had spent my previous life, I guess, was in the white collar area. So keep in mind, how many of you have been really good at your job and you excelled, and there were other people who weren't so happy that you were really good at your job, and they tried to do something to keep you down, maybe spread rumors about you, say bad things, or even sabotage you behind your back? Has anyone ever had that happen to them? I've known people. I haven't had the sabotage or anything, but I definitely had that competitiveness where people, the only way they could succeed was for me not to succeed, which, that's a horrible way to work. And if you are working with people like that really, it's not a fun atmosphere to be in. Some of the things that he noticed is that to remain an achiever and survive, a person must become good at one thing that has nothing to do with their productivity, and that's politics. Also, people who are in that blue-collar environment, or honestly, almost any environment, do you find that you have to play politics? Do you have to kiss up to certain people, or you're not going to get promoted, or somebody who's not as good at their job is getting promoted because they hang and joke around with the right people? How annoying is that? It's super annoying. It's super annoying, and everybody probably has experienced that. Even though that some of the perfect job list things are figured out with white collar, it does not fit. Again, it does not fit all those areas that you may have an interest in. So let's go on to the next area, and that is sales. So, you see some of these, I see these huge homes and these families, and I'm like, how in the heck are they affording these things? Because they seem like regular people, and they're like, oh, they're in sales. That there are severe limitations to being in sales. If you're good, that's amazing. There are a lot of attributes that sales does get. You still deal with the politics. Maybe you don't see a lot of personal growth because they kind of have you limited on what you do. And typically when you work for somebody else in sales, you have sales quotas, right? You have sales quotas that you have to meet. And if you don't meet them, what happens? Well, we're going to have to let you go, right? Because you're not meeting the quotas. I get it. It's a business. I completely understand that. It sucks if you're the employee, but I get that. However, look at the flip side. You excel. You do very, very well. What's going to happen if you hit your goal for several months in advance? Do you think that they move that bar a little bit higher for you and say, well, no, you know what? Now to be able to earn this income or to get these perks or bonuses, we're going to just make it a little bit harder for you. You're just going to have to sell a little bit more, or, sell it earlier in the month, or whatever it is, depending on your business. So they want you to succeed, which is good, and it's obviously better for them, but somehow they want to be able to push you more. Could sales pay the bills? It's also a feast or famine kind of thing. It could be really, really good, and then you could have some really bad months too, which could cause you to have a job loss too. So that's not a good thing. And so let's talk about the traditional business ownership. I think it's wonderful that people who start their own business have a traditional, maybe a franchise or a traditional business, but the people who have done this, the outlay of initial capital is huge. I'm talking about, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, or at the least maybe $35,000, the very, very low end franchises. And what if you own your business and not a franchise? Well, do you have to get a building? Do you have, you have to rent? Do you have issues with that? I have friends who are chiropractors and own their own or they rent their own buildings. They have issues, always sorts of issues like that. Keeping employees around that are loyal. You find out they're stealing from you. They don't show up to work. Those kinds of things, very difficult if you are either a franchisee, is that what you say? I'm not sure if that's the term. Or if you just own your own small business where you employ people. And I also had another friend where it's like he had such a hard time just keeping employees that showed up. People just didn't show up. He's like, you'd be so surprised. He did he owned a company that was more of a blue collar workers, and they went out and they did roofing and stuff, and people just wouldn't show up. It was crazy. People want jobs, but then they're like, I can't be bothered, which is very difficult to own one of those businesses. So, and you find that if you own your own business like that, you are everything. Like, let's say it's just you. If it's a business, it's a small coffee shop that you just opened, or a donut shop, or a cupcake shop. Everybody knows those kinds of businesses. So you were really good at baking and doing the cakes when you used to do it out of your home and sold them, and you decided to open a business. But now you have to deal with the customer service, and maybe that's not your thing. Now you have to deal with the marketing. You don't really know about marketing. When you're first getting off the ground, you don't have like a ton of money to pay for all these things. You have to do it yourself. So the thing that you were best at, baking and decorating these wonderful cupcakes and cakes, you find that your time is a lot less in that avenue and more on the busyness work. Somebody didn't show up for their shift at the cashier, so now you're having to do it. So then you're not baking that day, and then you're baking into the night, then you're dealing with the finance. See, so doing a traditional business, and also the market, has that downturn on the market. So maybe people aren't buying high-end cupcakes anymore. Traditional business ownership, though it fits many of the perfect job requirements, there's also a lot that it doesn't get. I'm only going to touch on investing like just a tad, because I don't know anyone who does this as a career, like investing. So we will touch on it because it is in the book. But first of all, what you have to have, a big downside to get started, is you got to have a ton of capital. You just can't start investing a bunch of money if you don't have any. So, you could be doing really great, and you could be market going up and up and up, and all of a sudden there's a big drop, and you're like, oh, let me just hold on to it. It's going to get back up, and then it keeps dropping. You could lose a ton of money at a very, very short time. So investing is scary, and there are definitely some perks to it, but you can also see some of the downsides. Obviously, I'm not hitting everything that the book is covering. Again, here it is again. GoPro by Eric Worre. It's great. It's amazing. But the one thing I did want to talk about, and really is another reason that I chose to do my job, is that, okay, we talk about some of the things that people were looking for. No boss, no commute, no alarm clock, no employees, no politics, no compromises, no discrimination, no educational requirement. Okay. So, what I do, I am my own boss, right? I have no commute time. I get up, I come downstairs, I can get on my computer, I can go visit my friends, I could go out to a coffee shop and meet with somebody. No alarm clock. Well, I have kids, so I can't say there's no alarm clock for my life. But for my job, there's not really alarm clock. It's really just for my family. No politics. I don't have to schmooze with the right people. I don't have to, to be able to get promoted. I don't have to do any of those things, which is annoying. No compromises. No discrimination. Anybody can do my job. Your age, your weight, your height, your educational level, any of those things. It doesn't matter, as long as you're 18. I say there's no age, there's age discrimination. I guess you have to be 18, so you have to be an adult. But other than that, if you're 80 and you want to do this business, you can do it. There's no age, and there's not like, oh, well, you can't do it because you're too old, or oh, you're only 18, so you're not going to be successful. Not true at all. And the last one, which I kind of touched on, was no educational requirement. If you have your GED, as long as you're 18, you're ready to go. Okay, and then look at some of the other things, something positive. So I love that my company, even though I'm self-employed, I do have like a corporate entity that is super great at giving back to the community and everywhere else. Fantastic customer service, which is good for me. You have a great product or service. So that means, I'm a rep for the number one brand in North America. We have super successful. If it doesn't work, you get your money back. How about standing behind that? So it makes me feel good to be able to do that. Unlimited income. which means there's no cap. There's no, oh, you can only make this much, or here's your 50-cent raise this year. Even though you worked your butt off and worked like 50 hours a week and gave extra for the company, you get your 50-cent raise. Residual income. So that means when I go to sleep at night and I wake up in the morning and I open up my thing, sales have come in, from someone that became a customer years ago for me. So it's a continual residual income. It's kind of like if you own a landscaping job and you mow their lawn every week. You have to do the work every week, which I guess is a little bit different because I don't have to do the work. People go on my website and order it. I have to say that I actually feel that all my customers are my friends or have become my friends over time, and I really, my business really isn't anything without them. So, there's that. So I still am invested in them personally, at least, definitely. Enjoy the people you work with. What could be better than a job that you can actually choose the people you work with? What could be better? I literally can say to my best friend or my neighbor that I adore, come work with me in this business. Come on these amazing trips with me. Come do these things with me. You get to work with the people you want to work with. If there's someone who's annoying, you're not going to ask them to work with you. You're not going to have to sit in a cubicle next to somebody that you detest for the next 30 years. Great news. Time freedom. Right now, it is 9:42 on a Friday. I'm here talking to you. I have to do some errands. I have to do some things out for the middle school where I volunteer, and otherwise, my schedule is my own. As long as I get my work in, it's not like, oh, you have to work these 8-9 hours. It doesn't matter that you can get your work done in 3 or 1 or whatever it is. You have to be here because that's what you have to do. Something meaningful. I cannot tell you how happy it makes me to get texts from people who say, thank you so much for nagging me about this product or not letting me give up or bringing me into this business. It's something that just touches my heart. To me, that's like everything. When I get these texts that say, oh my gosh, I went without foundation for the first time in 3 years. Thank you so much. Even when before she started, she was like, that's not gonna work for me. Oh, I'm not interested, And then when she finally tried it, she was like, okay, I've drunk the Kool-Aid, right? So that's sort of something meaningful is if you're somebody who likes to give back or help people, that is exactly what I do. It's like so rewarding. Personal growth. In the last 5 years that I've done this, I have grown a lot as a person, and I'd never done really sales or anything. I sold cell phones for like a month one time after college. It was like an interim job, but really I wasn't a salesperson, so I've really grown a lot as a person. And to realize, hey, it's not about me. It's not about me. That's a hard one to grasp, isn't it? No one wants to find out it's not about you. Having kids helps. But, that personal growth is of how much I have grown in realizing that it's really about how many people I can help and share this information to give them kind of the key to a future that is different than they ever imagined. It's kind of sounded cheesy, and that's not what I want it to be, but I never imagined that I would be doing this. Never in a million years. I was like, okay, you go to school, you study, you work hard, you get a great job, they're gonna love you forever. Wasn't my case, right? Many of you know my story. I was let go the day I was to come back from maternity leave on my first job. Okay, lots of perks. I have the opportunity, I've gotten iPads, Kate Spade bags, suitcases, laptop cases, little small things like cards, jewelry. You can get trips. There's all sorts of things, little perks that you can get just from doing your job. And if you have a job where they give you these things just because they love you or you're doing a great job, you're rare. It's rare. So even in sales, sometimes it's just expected that you have to do this and that's your job, and you should be lucky you have a job. Don't complain about getting extra perks. But this is one of those things that I love getting in the mail. When the FedEx guy comes and I'm like, ooh, what's this little box? And open it up and it's a treat. I know I got like lawn chairs. I got, a suitcase, a rolling suitcase, all sorts of things that are just nice to be able to get. It's just like, wow, what I'm doing means something to other people. International. We are an international company now. So we are in the US, Canada, and Australia, and always growing. So we're a $1.5 billion company, and we're just a baby yet. We're just a baby. We've only been around a short period of time as compared to many companies, and all we have to go is upward. Contribution to worthy causes. I mentioned that my company gives back a lot. We have our programs giving back to inner city kids for their educational aspects and what they're missing. Wonderful, wonderful programs that my company does and encourages us to join along with it. How wonderful to be able to have a company who is not just money hungry, grubby, what can do for them. I mean, that means a lot to me. Low risk. So my company there's no required quotas, there's no minimums, everything comes with a money back guarantee, and that's whether you purchase the products as a customer or if you purchase the products as a consultant like me. If you're like, this doesn't work for me, guess what? You can actually return it and get your money back. So it's like one of those things, there's like practically zero risk. Low startup costs, economy proof. So the thing about sales, because I guess I'm in sales, but direct sales, so it's different. It's not like this is the only way to go. It's just better than the other options. It's just better. So economy proof, my deal is skincare. Did you know when we had the downturn in the economy, skincare actually grew in revenue during that time? It actually grew. So when people are like, maybe they gave up their lattes or maybe they weren't getting those designer jeans or whatever it may be, they were still taking care of their skin. Because if they were unemployed and they were going to interviews, they wanted to look their best. They didn't want to look maybe 50 years old and been in the same job for 20 years. They wanted to look young, refreshed. So people were still spending money on skincare. Tax benefits. Your own business. All the tax deductions you can make. Obviously, you need to talk to your CPA, but there could be things like your cell phone, your internet, your gas in your car, any purchases, your products that you buy, tax deductible. Again, consult with your CPA. But in general, all these things are tax deductibles. And the last one is fun. 5 years I've been in this business, and I absolutely adore it. Love the people I work with, love corporate and the business itself, love the perks that I get, love the time freedom I have, love to be able to work around my family life. My kids are at school, so it's the perfect time for me to do this. But when they come home at night, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm focused on them. I'm getting dinner, I'm doing little chores around the house, whatever it may be. But this is fun for me. I would not have stayed in this job if I didn't love it. I adore it. And all I can say is if I've ever reached out to you, or if I do reach out to you about this business, I am not trying to sell you. I'm not trying to sell you. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm here to tell you how much I adore it and what it has done for my life. And honestly, the sisterhood or the family of people I work with, I could have never imagined how fantastic it would be. The support, we talked about that coworker who instead is trying to sabotage you to get ahead. This is the complete opposite of that. It's funny because, it's a direct sale, so everybody has different lines that they come down on. Like, I may have a friend who, is not from the same line as me, but we'll get together and strategize and discuss things and have lunch together, whatever. And even though we are not even on the same team, is what they say, we know that we can learn from each other. So the camaraderie and the feeling of togetherness to anyone that is in the business, it's amazing. It's something that it's like a sorority or something, but in a good way, if you have bad connotations for those. But it's like a sisterhood that that you can always reach out to someone and they're there to help. They're willing to do whatever they need to. So if you are looking for a book to read, it's GoPro by Eric Worre, and it is amazing. We only talked about the very first part of it, and as I said, I'm sure that, he definitely said it a lot better than I did, but you get it. Now, if you were just a little twinge of like, you know what, I'd like to at least find out what the heck this is. Why are so many people getting in direct sales nowadays? Why does everybody have a side hustle? Do you think everybody's just crazy? There's a reason. This is amazing. You need to open your mind and get out of that thought of, this is, not the way you should do it. It's not a job. My whole life, I was told to look for jobs, not opportunities. This opportunity actually found me. So if someone reaches out to you about a direct sales company, don't immediately poo-poo it and be like, nah, not interested. Find out the details. Find out if it's for you. Not all direct sales companies are equal. Find one that you connect with and that works for you. But love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.